All right, welcome back, everyone. Third episode here of the podcast. Very excited. We're heading into the holiday season. I guess we're already in the holiday season, going into the new year. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, spending tons of money on things that we're never really going to use nor need. Great time to be great time to be an American. It's funny because I personally, and I know Sheldon can relate to this as well, because we were talking about this a few minutes ago. I'm so overwhelmed during these like 2 weeks because there's so many deals and people are sending me things and messages, and I get emails and I start looking at things and I think, maybe I need a couple shirts or pants or this, or maybe I need a keyboard, and all of a sudden you're going down this rabbit hole and you end up ready to spend like $5,000 on a bunch of stuff that you really don't need. But that's what the holiday season now is about, I guess, around this time.
Like, I'm getting like these constant emails. I feel like they're pushing this stuff earlier and earlier each year. Like, they start doing it, before Thanksgiving, obviously, but like, a little bit before Halloween. But I feel like each year it gets earlier and earlier and earlier.
Yep.
Like, we're like promoting Christmas now in like July. Like, it's like, grab your trees now. And it's like, they're stressing you out. Like,
Santa's right around the corner.
Right. It's like, is it that soon? They freak you out. It's like, any of those websites like Rue La La, or like even eBay, where like there's like a time ticker, or like when I was a kid, like on TV, like those channels, like call within the next 10 minutes and all this stuff.
Right,
and it's like, well, I didn't need that. But all of a sudden, like, oh my God, I only have 10 minutes. Like, I'm freaking
Amazon, they changed their app store symbol. So you already notice it just from being on your phone. The app symbol has a little gift wrapping on it. Opens up Cyber Monday, lightning deals, get it now.
Right? And it's
why
like,
do I need?
I
don't need an electric pressure washer, but I have one.
You do need a pressure washer, Akiva, because I've been seeing your car lately, and it's looking a little rusty. You might want to pressure wash that thing. No, but seriously, it's like all these different things that I do not need. Like, and it's like really pushing on me that you think you all of a sudden, oh my God, I need to get something, or oh my God, it's 50% off. Let me grab it, but I didn't need it in the first place. It's gonna sit in my drawer. But because of those deals, I feel like, oh my God, I need it, and I don't.
Right.
So I'm literally just like sending the emails to like my trash, except for the ones for like vitamins and stuff like that, because I do buy a lot of those. I did take some of those.
Got to get your daily dose of vitamins.
And protein powder.
Yeah, I ended up just trying to unsubscribe from all those things. But I know you sent me something yesterday, or today was it? And I ended up seeing this yesterday, something that I wanted to talk about, because this is something that I feel like this is a brand that I wanted to speak about for a while, only because I always felt it was so strange. But Balenciaga obviously making headlines, suing now the production company who made that ad with children holding bears dressed grossly inappropriately for children to be holding them, and with the court documents referenced in various pictures of terrible things. The whole thing is just very strange. I mean, if anyone isn't informed about it, I mean, you could look it up, but basically Balenciaga had a couple of different ad campaigns with really inappropriate pictures or depicting children holding teddy bears that were dressed inappropriately. One of them had a piece of paper on the table in the picture with a reference to a court case that involved children and soliciting them. So it wasn't good. It seemed really strange. My initial reaction was like, where's the marketing team? Where's anyone who's looking over this, wearing their Balenciaga Croc heels, sitting in the back office thinking, this is totally fine. Let's just send this right on through. Let's send this right on through and blast it on all social media.
All I'm saying is, if you look at the history, the second they launched those Croc heels or boots or whatever, like that should have been when we were all like second guessing.
That should have been the red flag.
Something is up. Like something's up. Like that's not normal. So, and then you like see, it wasn't just it was inappropriate. They were like BDSM and bondage themed with children, and especially the culture now, or even like when that Netflix movie Cuties came out, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it such an amazing score, and how it was like such an amazing movie, and then it was released to the public, and there was such backlash because they were using actual children to depict them in those situations, which is something that we are really seeing a lot of these kinds of people in society, which is frightening. And, luckily people are starting to have more of a voice to speak about sexual abuse and all this stuff, because it's not as stigmatized as it was, but it's still difficult for survivors.
Right.
And it's like, and so to do an ad like that, where it's not like being controversial or, trying to be all cool to make headlines, like this is not like when you put children in the picture, that it's just a
Absolutely.
whole new game. And it like, it's
I feel like
just
the lines have
beyond
been blurred.
inappropriate.
Right. I feel like the lines have been blurred between like art and real art expression through fashion and like just making the next hype designer brand. And like someone must have thought at some point in the process of making this or doing these ad campaigns that this was some sort of like deep introspective art expression that you're supposed to have to see into, and in reality it just seems absolutely insane. And I mean, if you're already spending thousands of dollars on Croc heels or long trench coats like you're a fisherman, then I mean, yeah, you know, it might make sense. You might not care. You might look
a really
it,
rich fisherman, to be clear.
Right. It's so mind-boggling.
I feel like we're living in a very different fashion climate at the moment. You know, it used to be these big designers had these big shows. We always had to see in the magazines, what's the next big thing, you know, or in the newspapers if you were, you know, reading like the Wall Street Journal or something. But we're living in a different world with social media, with people with their indie brands and new brands launching all the time, and celebrities with their collaborations and launching their own brands and all this stuff. These bigger companies really need to, you know, step up their game and appeal to a younger audience, which is what like Gucci did. Right. They switched up all their branding, started giving influencer stuff, really reached into those things, came out with cooler designs, very different. They were trying to stay relevant. Karl Lagerfeld, may rest in peace, when he took over Chanel, he made things more edgy, more cool. It wasn't just for like the sophisticated, older, you know, old money lady. It's for a younger, cooler, you know, edgier look. So all these brands are trying to keep up, but this is not something that's edgy or different. It's not something that's making headlines in a good way. Like, you know, no press, like, you know, all press is good press, not this press. This isn't press. This is like when they talk about like the shooters and stuff at like schools, like it's not a good thing when they're talking about it. And I think it's a complete mistake. And the fact that they're not even taking accountability and blaming their production team and talking with words that make it seem as though they are going to be suing them legally is a joke. You're a large brand. Every single thing, like I worked as a makeup artist for 10 years. I've worked on sets before. Every single thing that's placed on a set is there for a specific purpose. You have someone who is assessing the room, creating a whole design. They have a whole team approve it. They have a whole look. There's a whole team behind this, and they have to get approval from up ahead. So to pretend like this was the production team and how did this happen? Like, oh my God, we were just as blindsided as you people is a bullshit narrative. And it's just really making it worse for them. And I think it's safe to say that I'm not about cancel culture, but when you don't acknowledge or take responsibility for what you're doing and for the mistakes that you've made, no one should be really buying that from them. Not supporting something like that is disgusting.
I don't support cancel culture, but they should be canceled.
But cancel them.
Yeah, but just them. Just make an exception for just
them.
Just Balenciaga.
Just them.
Some people, I feel like cancel culture is only exists if you believe in cancel culture. You know, I mean, yes, you can cancel someone, but the people that just don't care or address it seem to just do fine. You know.
Unless you're somebody who has been canceled and you're in the public light, and then it makes it very difficult. Unfortunately, a lot of white men who get canceled.
Or if you have to, if you're someone who panders if you're someone who panders to an audience who will cancel you, then your audience is going to be gone. But you know, you're real.
Like Matt Lauer is not making no comeback.
Matt Lauer, he was the news guy.
Exactly, was the news guy. Never making a comeback, but you know what? But he got like $70 million or something. I think possibly more when he as severance when he cut ties. So like he's fine. And sure, he's not like there's any justice there for any of the victims with his button that shut the door automatically when they entered his office. Mind-boggling.
I liked him when I watched the He got that on Cyber Monday, I bet.
Under his desk. Oh yeah, no, he had so much money he didn't even know what Cyber Monday was. He probably had one of the girls he raped get there for him.
It's so scary. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, you know, but at least, you know, there's somewhat like, you know, people are able to have a voice now where people were too worried, especially in Hollywood. It's like, it was like a make or break thing. Look at Harvey Weinstein. He got away with it for so many years because he had so much power and it was a make or break thing. So luckily there were so many women who were able to stand up. And some men who were able to stand up, like, you know, with Kevin Spacey and his victims who were underage, to say, you know, yeah, they were a celebrity and all this, but I'm a person too. And I have a voice and I deserve to be heard. And thank God we're in a culture where the majority of us, I'm sure you still have those haters or those people who are just, you know, in their own mindset, but people are there and people are supportive for these people. But what upsets me is when there's people who aren't really in a situation like that, and then they want like attention, and then they go for that kind of notoriety, and then when it turns out to be false, then people get more skeptical of real victims, and that always upsets me.
Right.
So, but I feel like with everything in life,
those cases are the worst, where it ends up being those cases are awful, where it ends up being falsified or a made up story because it does so much damage to real victims. It's such irreparable damage.
Exactly. It's horrible in so many ways and affects so many people, and then makes those who might have been close to telling their truth hide it again and go back in the closet, because it's like, it's very scary.
Right.
We're living in a very crazy world where everything is so psychoanalyzed, and everything you say. I'm sure I've already said multiple things in this podcast that are already so controversial, and it's like, oh my God, like everything you say nowadays, it's microanalyzed,
like a cancel button
the way you said it in your tone, and oh my God, I analyzed your voice through a program, and if you see the spike over there, I could tell that you were totally lying. Like, you can't do anything nowadays. Right. I mean, it's like, don't you have a job? I don't know. I do. I barely have time to breathe, and these people are
everyone's
like
psychoanalyzed under a microscope. 100%. That's why living in the public eye must be insane for anyone in politics. Someone who's in
it
Hollywood,
really is, but I'm luckily I'm making it through.
You're constantly under a microscope, and it's crazy. It's funny because I was also lost my train. I
thought you were gonna say you're also mute. I was like, are you mine now?
Lost my train of thought. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this is what I was thinking about. I saw today Apple might be removing Twitter from the App Store.
Oh,
in which case Elon Musk was toying around with the idea of making his own phone, and then that way everyone can access. Because iPhone and Android, there was speculation that iPhone and Android might remove Twitter from the App Store, and so someone said, "I'm sure Elon could just make his own phone if that happened." And he's like, "Yeah, definitely. If they try to shut it off of both of their app stores."
But for a guy who literally works in technology and has tons of engineers and DevOps working for him, you have to, every app in the App Store then has to be made to work on your operating system.
I'm sure he has the resources to I'm sure he has the
it's not about him. It's all the companies that have apps on the Apple Store, on the whatever, the Google Play Store. They would then have to make that compatible with another thing, which is why a lot of other devices that have tried making their own OS in the past have failed, because like when BlackBerry tried doing a comeback, nobody was making their apps compatible with the BlackBerry device, which kind of made their app store useless, because there wasn't really a big market there. So what's the incentive to them to spend all those extra hours? So I think that's more of just like a gimmick and him trying to make waves. I can't imagine Twitter's getting banned. If Truth Social or whatever it's called is available anywhere, then that's ridiculous. And I still don't understand. Like, I mean, maybe I just haven't seen anything that's so like, oh my God, and I must have missed it. So if I'm wrong, someone tell me. But what happened so badly that he would be banned? Not quite sure.
Right. Another less I guess sad or depressing or controversial news. Are you familiar with the Liver King?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him. I don't follow him. I'm not a big TikToker. Well,
you've seen him.
But
you've seen the King of Liver.
I watch Danny Gonzalez on YouTube. So like he's like, I think it was him. It was Drew Gooden.
I don't know who that is.
I'm pretty sure it was Danny Gonzalez. He's this like funny guy. He's like around my age or something. But he has a couple of funny videos with him, and then like Liver King like saw his video, and then he ends up sending him all this raw meat to try and everything. Is pretty funny. But yeah, what happened with him? So
I initially saw there's a guy Derek who has a YouTube channel called More Plates, More Dates, and he has a pretty big following.
Derek, a YouTuber named Derek.
More Dates. I know it's thing of like he has a pretty big following, and he's very into openness about steroid use and his steroid use and other people's steroid use, and he sometimes will do like deep dives into different things. He was on Joe Rogan once, and they spoke about Liver King. There was speculation that he had ab implants because his abs are just like ridiculously symmetrical, and yeah, he had ab etching done. But then a bunch of emails and tons of emails and text messages were just leaked with like full regimens and basically just like showing. And he had denied steroid abuse. The whole thing is like it's like I feel like
he has denied steroid use. Why did they all do that? It's like the women in California. What do you mean? I haven't gotten any Botox done. My face is naturally frozen. There's no expression whatsoever. Really? Exactly. Oh yeah, I didn't get a nose job. I was just really rested this summer. It just totally changed my nose.
Exactly.
Just own up to your stuff. I will name everything I did, X, Y, and Z. Like, get it together.
That's the whole point of his channel, I think, is like if you're going to try to portray a certain image as your bodybuilder, that's fine. Why are you lying and trying to sell that you could achieve this lifestyle completely natural when you can't? You know, there's a limit to what humans can achieve.
He's eating raw livers and stuff. Like, that's a big part of it. Making the most ridiculous
like the least of the things that I would not mind.
Putting your cell phone away in some special bag when you enter the house because you can't have the electrical waves and bad electricity.
Right, you don't want to mess with the.
Whatever
you don't want to mess with the.
Yeah, why is everything controversial? Everything. It's
funny because there's so many of these. There's so many of these. Right. I mean, we're obviously living in the era of the gurus. You know, you have gurus all the time trying to sell you a lifestyle on YouTube. The amount of day trading, that was a huge thing for a while. It still is a little bit, but the amount of day trading gurus to sell you, you know, make $5,000 a day day trading, make $30,000 a month on Amazon, FBA fulfilled by Amazon, and people buy into these things. Listen, Tai Lopez, who started this whole thing, who's a marketing genius, and his infamous video, which I'm sure you've seen here in my garage with my Lamborghini and his 7 bookshelves, who started selling courses on success and how to be successful. And he really doesn't have any actual business experience.
Having a Lamborghini is, the definition of success.
Right. It's an incredible video. It's called, it's about knowledge. He's sitting in a garage and he's like, I'm here with this new Lamborghini I just bought. He goes, but you know what I love more than materialistic things? Knowledge.
More?
And he's like, I'm much more proud of these 7 bookshelves I just had installed to hold my 5,000 books than I am
in
about
his garage.
This car.
Why does he have bookshelves in his garage?
That was one of the first things I thought. Was if someone is keeping their books in their garage, you need to get away from that person.
And if he has a Lamborghini, he probably has a library in his house, or I'm assuming some sort of large room where you could read.
Right. Or that for is your the books. House. Is just that shed. It's just that shed.
And like, if he has that much money, he couldn't have gotten himself a writer to like write his script of something I love.
But you know what? It blew up. He got tons of traction. And I personally know people who were so gung-ho about it and were like, I'm telling you, he has the answers. I'm going to be successful.
You know, I always like
people buy into these things. I feel like for the most part, with some of them, I feel like a small, tiny percentage will see like, you know, real success with like drop shipping or Amazon, a tiny percentage, but the majority are being fed just basic general principles and guides to follow to set up a business. But if you don't get that product, which is no one's just going to find that number one product. They make it seem like you go on this website, it shows you all the best products on TikTok. You click a product, you set up a Shopify shop, you just make a couple of cool ads, you throw them on TikTok,
kick back in your chair,
$80,000 a month. Get back. Why would you want to work a 9 to 5 when you could sit on the beach with your shorts and your Balenciaga Croc heels and work from your laptop, making $4 million
totally
on Amazon, TikTok, FBA drop shipping course,
with your young daughter in her bondage next to you, holding your hand.
Right. It's unreal. It's so funny. And I've checked out some of these websites with their courses just to like see like how are they trying to sell it. And it's always the same. You get a free webinar or a free ebook. And I've looked at some videos where people have like signed up for the course just to give like a review. And it's just always this generalized basic information. Sometimes it could be selling you complete nothingness, which obviously
everyone's searching for like the quick fix, the quick answer, something that's going to get them, and it's like it's not there. And so many times like we look back at history, like with all these different cults, and like we're like, how did they even fall for that? Like I would never fall for something like that. And then you see all these not all of them, but like a lot of these influencers who are like selling their own courses and how you're going to make money at home and all this stuff. And like, everyone else who they're so stupid, they don't know the secret that I know, and like yada, yada, yada. And it's like, then, and you're just making millionaires like that. It's like, no, it's like all these MLMs. It's the people at the top who are making tons of money of the pyramid. Everyone below, the more people they get, they're making more money off of them. So it's like, could you be the one to get that Mercedes through that one company who sells skincare products? Sure. But the chances of it are very slim, and the bitches way above you are the ones who are already rocking that Mercedes, and you're never going to get it, bitch, and you're literally going to be suffering. Right. But look how happy we are. None of them. They're all miserable. I've been recruited to so many of them when I worked in makeup, and I'm like, no. I had one woman who literally stalked me for years. I had to block her.
To what? To get you out
to
of
sign
program?
up with her. Yeah. I don't want to say which one, but yeah. Mm-hmm. And
I just also this is something I was thinking about earlier today.
2 people.
Right. So I was thinking about this earlier today. I feel like there's so much opportunity nowadays to make money and create and be successful more than there's ever been. But so many people want that overnight, just boom, I'm going to find something and it's going to make me tons of money and I'm going to be huge. And they have that desire. They don't have the drive to actually sit down and do it. And they don't realize that things don't just happen overnight. For 99.99999% of people, they don't just make a ton of money overnight. It takes time and consistency.
Even the celebrities, the ones who like say their stories and they're like, and it happens overnight and all this stuff.
Right.
They change up their story a little bit to make it good for the media and everything like that. Most of the time, it wasn't happening overnight. There were many breaks. Maybe they didn't get phone calls for weeks or months. They didn't know what was happening. Like they glaze over all that part and stuff. Like, everything. And for some people, yeah, maybe it was luck and stuff. Everything happens at different times. But I feel like even though there's so much more opportunity to get big in everything, it's also so much more saturated the market because of that. And entertainment nowadays, like TikTok, is like the number one thing. And it's like,
when it comes to like trends, maybe.
Just like, I don't gotta.
I feel like there are like trends where like certain things are going viral. Right.
Yeah, but like you have celebrities now that are trying to get big on social media or who already are big on social media because it's another stream of revenue and they see how big and how much potential there is. That's why like when YouTube was at its peak, like there were so many celebrities doing collaborations with all these like, regular influencers on YouTube because they saw how big of a market it is. People aren't sitting down and watching and consuming TV like they used to. Like it's a very different world and they realize that. I mean, the ones who are smart or their business managers, and they have to get on board with that. You have to be evolving even if you don't get it.
I mean, YouTube is
like the world we're living in.
It's a marketing and advertising cash cow. That's, I remember back in the golden days of YouTube, long before all this, long before AdSense or people were making revenue off ads when it was just, there were good creators. And then it became, it's not so bad.
With their dinky cameras, regular cameras.
Creators. But it's good that I think it's nice that, tons of people have been able to create businesses at home, making videos, cheesing around, doing reviews of different types of cheeses, doing videos on cooking steaks, doing videos on how to build a deck or things like that, or how to shoot a commercial for Balenciaga, whatever it is. There's tons of, you can find everything on there. You can find literally everything on there. That's what's amazing. And so they just market those ads. But the problem is when you're looking at videos of financial advice or things like that, you're looking up a video that has to do with finance at all. So your ads are obviously going to be targeted towards those things. And it's relatively cheap to make ads on YouTube. So that's why you get tons of these ads of people trying to sell you courses on those videos because it's a financial video. So they're going to be placed, their ads are cheap as anything. So they just pump out a ton of ads and someone's going to bite and buy a course for $500. One-time payment doesn't seem crazy. And then
you're on a monthly subscription for $500.
Right. It's wild, but it's also the people that create videos in those categories. So they get paid a lot more per 1,000 views than someone who doesn't. So for example, if your videos cover, it's a big thing now to like go over to like strangers and ask them random questions, either, hey, how did you make millions? Or what's your advice for young investors? Or people just do videos where they ask people that. So the ads for those videos are going to be financial ads for programs for investing or Robinhood or things like that, or learn how to day trade. And so because there's a lot more traffic in those categories, the AdSense goes up if you make videos in those categories. So whereas some people might get $5 per 1,000 clicks or per 1,000 views, someone else might get $25, $30.
Right, there's like different tiers.
Clicks.
It's a huge business now. I'm saying for sure. I'm saying like once they got too big, like when it was in its heyday, it was still, it was getting really big, but it wasn't at that massive thing when it was bought by Google and all of that. And then it just took on a life of its own. I
thought about it so many times of creating a channel. And you could make like a faceless channel. You don't have to show your face, just a bunch of B-rolls or random clips and talk about, anything. You can make a channel about boats and just do like informative videos and entertaining clips. It takes time, but it's possible.
I always wanted to, but the thing is there's just so much negativity online. And that's why for so long I was like, do I want to even bother with the podcast? It's not that the negativity gets to me, it's that I hate seeing it. Like you can't watch a YouTube video, even like you're watching a singer. Let's say you're watching an Ariana Grande video. Oh my God, she's not as good as blah, 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 blah. Everything's a competition with someone else.
Right.
Everything is, oh my God, she's not even that good. Or, oh my God, she's singing that note. Everything. And no matter what category it is, no matter what subcategory it is, no matter where in the world, what language.
Keyboard warriors.
There's so, it's so sad and disheartening. Like there's so many of them that's like, is this like a large part of society or it just seems like that? Like, it's just scary. So it's like you put yourself out to the scrutiny. And I feel bad for some of these creators, like the ones who are still somehow genuine and everything. But it's like, it does get to you. You can't say it's not going to get to me. It has to get to you at some point.
Right.
Because you literally have people micro-analyzing everything about you, picking you apart. Oh, did you gain weight? Oh, are you pregnant? Oh, this? Oh, that? That it's just like constant, even if they're not like bullying you, just those like remarks that make you second guess yourself or like it crosses the line. It's like, whoa. It's like you want to have a relationship with your audience, but there also has to be boundaries because it's like,
it's funny because, we created this culture where we have these platforms that we all engage in, where we have chosen to share very intimate parts of our lives. And so naturally, we're obviously going to be opening ourselves up to tons of scrutiny, and you're sharing, like, I've never watched the Kardashians show. Nor do I plan on it, but I'm imagining that it's
never watched it. I know for a fact you have. When we were little kids staying at the Dom Pearl in Israel in 2007, and we definitely watched the Kardashians. It was like 5 a.m. because I have a freaking spot on memory.
Okay, so I was 11 years old. Okay, so I think I was old enough where it didn't cause too much trauma.
No, I'm pretty sure you just don't realize it's subconscious.
Like reality shows, you're just living. Right, in reality shows, you're just living. You're showing some of the deep parts of your life, or at least what they think is, personal parts of your life. So
reality is a very loose term,
right? But then you're obviously going to open yourself up to scrutiny and criticism, and people are going to be making fun of you, and people are going to, there's always stuff to make fun of, and people are bored.
But I think for some people, it's like it's kind of like that, that term, like making a deal with the devil or selling your soul to the devil. And I feel like that with like the Kardashians, it's like they do exploit themselves. That is their whole thing. They literally started their career, even though the mom still denies, oh, we didn't release the sex tape. Why would we ever do such a thing? I would be in complete shock if they didn't. There's no way in hell that they were not involved with that. It was for sure a business deal, without a doubt. Everything they do is very organized and structured. Even their scandals, like 95% of them are thought out ahead of time. Their PR stunts, they live for the exploitation, and it's for the money. And so it's like selling your soul for the dollar bill. And to me, it's just like there's no class in that. And it bothers me that it doesn't bother me. It shocks me that they've become so big in society. It's just like they became like the royalty of America. And I was like, why? Like, I remember when I was younger watching The Simple Life, like, with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, and like when, when reality TV was relatively new, and with the Osbournes and stuff like that, and it was cheesy, and it was like comedic, and like it was fun. No one was trying to look all fancy and glamorous on camera, trying to portray themselves in a certain way. It was more raw. obviously there was still, producing involved, but like it took on a life of its own, and the mother would do anything. She would run over her children if that gave her more money. Like it's just sad. She's a pimp, legit a pimp.
Right.
Cheers,
right.
Chris.
Right. And then you have all these people that it's funny because on the other hand, I one time saw a quote from Floyd Mayweather that said, "Money doesn't buy you happiness, but neither does being broke." And it obviously it made me laugh because
it's like when people say it. It's like, but money doesn't bring you happiness, right? But I'd rather be depressed with money than depressed with no money. So like, I'll take the money, please. Thank you. But I'm also like,
right? But
I mean, a lot of people like they struggle, or like I'm seeing some people who are being laid off. Like, yeah, they need the money because they are freaking out, not knowing how to pay their bills, and it's hard to get a job currently. Like.
Right, but also the more you have, the more you want. Someone's always going to have more than you. I feel like people naturally are not happy with what they have.
And when you're rolling in those circles, there's always someone else. You're always comparing yourself. It's never enough. Like I've seen so many people. I know so many people in those worlds, and it's just like I've seen it firsthand. It doesn't interest me. Like, I would love to live a life where, like, I'm not struggling or freaking out paycheck to paycheck about paying my bills or, am I going to be in debt or worried about that kind of stuff. I don't have any, like, desire to live, like, this amazing, grandiose life where I'm traveling around the world and my house over here and I'm jetting off here. Like, if I somehow won the lottery and I had the money, yeah, obviously I'd take it. I'm not going to be like, oh, no, I'm just too good for that. Sure, of course I take it. But I just don't aspire to that. It just doesn't. I don't know anyone who has that kind of life. It doesn't solve problems, but it brings on a whole new slot of them. So, like, no matter where you are, there's problems on both ends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's hard because I feel like we grew up, you and I, in a community with a lot of people who were, well off. We lived in I would say an upper middle class. We're living in an Orthodox community, and Orthodox Jews, as everyone I'm sure knows, tend to stay pretty tight in their communities. But yeah, our community was definitely upper middle class with a lot of wealthy individuals. And growing up nowadays, I can't even imagine, because growing up already when we were kids, there was already a lot of competition to look a certain way, to dress a certain way, to have certain things, to have a certain car, to have a certain size house. There's always been that competition. It's so detrimental. I feel like it really could destroy someone just getting lost in keeping up with everyone around them. And it's never keep up. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, like, who cares? Like, literally, who cares? You're gonna die. You're not taking your socks with you. So, like, literally, who cares?
You might, if you request to be buried with your socks.
But I feel like you get to a certain age, you have to get to a certain age at some point where you realize that, like, whether you had money or not is irrelevant, but do the things that are long lasting and really give me meaning. Do I have those in my life? Friends
I think it's like
who I love, family.
But I feel like everyone's looking for something, like some sort of meaning. People might turn to religion, or some people, like we were talking about earlier, like those cult type things on YouTube. It's like, why are they turning to somebody? Or everyone's seeking like that thing. Like, like I feel like happiness, I've learned as I got older, it's not something like you achieve or you reach a day where you're like, oh my God, I finally achieved like the happiness. It's really a mindset, and you choose to be happy. Life is not easy. Life could get harder. It's like there's always going to be obstacles. Like when you're a kid, I feel like at least I was not prepared for what it's like being an adult. I feel like all of us were like lied to. When we're younger, we're like so ready to become adults and like, oh yeah, we just want to skip over those years. And you become an adult and you're like, what the hell? Like, you think your parents already know. You
want to go back.
You think they also don't know it all. Totally. And you're like, what is this? We're literally just like grown ass children, and we're just getting older, but we are just like the same.
You have no idea how to do anything. You just kind of thrust into adulthood.
You wing it. Totally. And it's like, and it's a crazy thing. We're just not even like prepared for it.
Right.
And I don't know where I was going with that for a second.
Well, we were talking about the pressure in these communities to
oh yeah. So wait, what was the last thing I just said now?
We're talking about pressure in these communities to keep up with people, to maintain a certain image. and so on and so forth.
Right. So I feel like when you're like growing up in these communities, like, you know, when you're living in a suburb, like the suburbs, it's always that very, you know, kind of tight knit thing where everyone's looking at each other, their lawns and how green they are and like all that stuff. When we grew up in like an Orthodox Jewish community, it's even tighter because within that neighborhood, you assimilate with each other, and it becomes like that all the time. When you're going to, you know, the synagogue, you're looking at people like, oh wow, you look so good, and then like you're looking at her dress, and she's like, you know, what are you wearing? Like everyone's looking at each other. Who's driving the nicer car? Who's building the bigger house? That they kind of lose sense of the real picture, especially when it's religion. It's not about the nicer car, the bigger house, all that stuff. And it's like, and that's one of the things I love about living in Israel is it's a much more relaxed lifestyle. Even the people who do have money here, they're not like walking around in fancy brands and like, you know, necessarily driving nice cars. Some of them do, but there's no feeling of like keeping up with the Joneses, like all that stuff, because you can't keep up with the Joneses. And like somehow, even after all these years, everyone still thinks that they're going to be the ones to do it. And it's like, you can't. And why would you want to? Because you're never going to be happy. You're chasing your tail. So that's what I was saying like before. It's like everyone's seeking something, whether it's a culture, this or that. So some people are thinking that it's money that's going to make them happy. And then they get it and it's not. And then it's like, oh my God, like now what?
I don't know. Happiness for me, I feel like people tend to think of happiness as, I mean, as being happy, as smiling and things are good and you feel good. But I feel like happiness is I feel like you could find peace of mind, I guess, let's say, when you're just present in the now. And we live in a time where you can never be present in the now because there's always the next something. There's always the next, I got to make this dollar, or I got to do this to get that, or I got to post this, or what's going to happen here, or what's going to be with this, or how am I going to get this going? And because of that, we're never just existing and enjoying the present times, sitting here drinking seltzer, you know.
Didn't you ever go to a concert recently? These are concerts.
Right.
No one's even looking at the stage.
And the photos never look good. They never look good.
They never look good. You think, who's looking at your video? Oh my God, look at the Adele concert. Look at my video. Bitch, you don't even remember the concert because you were just videoing her. Like when I went to see Britney, I didn't even drink anything. I went with our dad. And Dad's like, oh, you want to get a drink? I'm like, I didn't even want to drink anything because I wanted to like be in the moment. I like gave him my phone. I was like, just take pictures or videos for me, even though he can't take videos for his life. It was a video of him. I wanted to be present in it. Exactly. Right. He didn't realize it was a picture up his nose the whole time. So
the classic, it's like the classic parents FaceTime, like when they FaceTime with you and their phone.
Oh my God, I saw a video like that. I'm like, that is literally.
Hey guys, how we doing?
I don't know if this is working. I can't really see that. Our dad still calls me. How do you turn the DVD player? Well, first of all, why are you using a DVD player? We're literally in 2022.
Throw it out.
That's concerning.
Throw it out.
Literally,
it now.
Burn it. Like throw it away. Like run it over. And second of all, like you don't know how to turn on. Like look for the power button.
Right. Look for the power button. Hit
now
that
you're gonna push
there.
it.
Yeah, like, I remember helping him.
You can't pull that
with the iPods. I remember when we were in Florida years ago, for like 15 years ago or whatever it was, when like one of the first iPod touches came out, and he was asking me how to pause the music and get that going.
Yeah, no, he literally, and that's the thing also, is it's not that he just doesn't even know how to use technology. He has to be all cool with it, so he buys the latest in technology, and then he doesn't know how to use it. Like I was literally in high school, and he wanted to fly me in when he got a new car in 2007 because he wanted me to show him how to use it. I'm like, you wanted to fly me in to show you how to use the car?
You gotta get all those features down. Yeah, you gotta.
I was always
getting all those features down. So he wants to make sure he's utilizing every feature to its fullest potential and getting the most value out of the vehicle as he can.
See, totally, very, very smart businessman.
You know that you're like a parent and you've grown into the boomer generation when your iPhone or your Android, when everything is magnified to like +5 text size.
Oh my God!
Everything is
literally,
I can't. Whenever I use
got a new phone recently,
like
so then it's like, do you want to do the larger look? And I'm like,
right?
Are you trying to say something to me, Siri?
Right?
Because you don't even listen to me half the time, but all of a sudden you're trying to say something. Oh, okay.
Exactly. It's funny because literally every day, at least 4 times, I'll say something. Usually the word like serious or something along those lines, and she pops up on my computer. How can I help you here? I'm like, excuse me.
When I'm not calling for her, yeah. when I'm not calling for her, all of a sudden she's like, what did you say? Can I help you? And when I do call for her, it's like she's just ignoring me. It's like, get it together. Like, even, I can't even say her name, but the Alexa behind me, she even listens to me most of the time. Sometimes she's annoying as heck. Like, when I was in a business call before and she wouldn't stop talking and stuff. But like,
I remember I was at your apartment.
Siri's just like, what was that? I don't know what you're saying. Then don't talk to me. We're on iPhone 14 now. You can't get it together. She's been around since iPhone 4.
Okay, Google is like so much more efficient.
Steve Jobs.
A lot of the other programs are so much but they're so much more efficient with like follow-up questions. Like if you ask something, you could follow up on that topic with another question. Whereas I don't know if you could do that or do it as well.
I think there's like a new like feature with Siri. I don't know. It doesn't matter if she's following up because she doesn't listen the first time. She ain't listening the second time. So
there's always new things. We're always getting to the next. We're always getting to the next best thing. Again, I feel like there's ups and downs to this because at the same time we've advanced so much in technology in the last 150 years because we're constantly trying to make a better version of things we already have. Or
there's a big problem with that is like people are always like, "Oh, my privacy," or like my privacy, and I get that. I mean, I feel like when people talk about their privacy online, or they're like, "Oh my God, you're when they're selling VPNs online, your internet service provider can see what you're doing." You think people who are working at your service provider are going through like, "So you watching porn today? Like, what's he doing on his computer?" Yeah, they're targeting you ads. Honestly, you're getting ads anyways these days. It doesn't matter whether you're not selling them your information. You're getting ads. So would you rather ads that are applicable to you or ads that are completely random and not applicable to you? Because you're getting them either way. But it's like with these things, it's like, Alexa, she does save recordings and she does have that stuff. It does get deleted from the server at some point, so they say, or whatever. But that's because it's called machine learning. Machine learning, they need to learn from something in order to get it. They need to understand your voice better. They need to learn your tones. They need to learn your pauses. They need to learn the way you enunciate things. That's how they get better. Apple's very big on their security, which is great. That's why they had the whole, all these companies had to change up all their things when Apple did the allow, ask app not to track or allow, tracking and stuff like that. It's like, and it's a big thing that with Siri is they're not saving those things. They're not analyzing it as much. I still have my things turned on. You could set it where it does send them your recordings and stuff, but it's not improving as much because they're not saving all that data. So there is pros and cons with all this, my privacy stuff, because there's a lot of, we can't want something that's going to know us and then be like, well, we don't want them to know us. It's like, well, which one is it? Do you want something that's going to work well and be futuristic, or do you not? If you don't, then okay. But if you do and you don't want to sell your information, so it's like, well, okay. Kind of the world we're living in. I mean, I live in Israel. They literally have access to everything. So when people in America, it's
crazy because I always opt out every time I have to sign up for anything. I always make sure to uncheck the box that says I want to receive updates and offers. But I feel like no matter what I do, you'll wake up and you get 1,000 emails.
100%, because you're still getting the cookies when you're on their website. You're still being redirected on some sort of landing page. So they're not getting you from that box checking, but when you log onto a website and you're accepting certain terms and conditions, they get you just from the landing page. So it's
I bought a back massager from the Sharper Image in 2006. And next thing you know, I'm getting.
I was going to say the Sharper Image. Are they around?
It's like Brookstone. All of a sudden, I'm getting tons of emails. Still, I'm getting emails about, come in the holiday cheese, get your Bluetooth sweeper electronic bot, which
and Sharper Image. They always have.
Yeah, they sell all of this. I think they're still.
Are you sure
around.
they're not scam emails? I feel like maybe it's a Sharper Image Blockbuster collaboration.
The Sharper Image is definitely it's definitely around, but I feel like those stores were like airport stores. You know how you go to the airport and they have
or no, they had a fancy one by us in Old Orchard. No, but they're really expensive.
That was a Brookstone.
You're like, oh my God, I really need these slippers with lights. So when I walk around the house in the dark, which who does that? They're walking around. I have, lights on my feet because I've always needed that when I'm grabbing a midnight snack from the fridge.
You got to make sure.
You want to go to the fridge to get a midnight snack.
As a kid, it was the coolest place.
So cool. Reading the Sky Mall magazine on the airplanes, I used to be like, oh my God. I need that popcorn machine that goes in your pants. Like the most random stuff that is completely not even normal.
Pocket size.
Oh my God, I need to get that all of a sudden.
There was one invention. I don't know if it was an invention. I saw it there. I'm sure they sell it at other places. But the first time I saw it, either it was at the Sharper Image or Brookstone. Is that Milo?
Stop it. Come here.
Can we get him in? Can we get him on the pod?
Oh my God. Yeah, we're going to go out soon. Not right now, sweetie. He's going to be 11 in February.
That's crazy.
I know, but his energy has not changed at all since he was a puppy. People in Tel Aviv, when I'm walking, like, oh my God, he's a puppy. How old is he? I'm like, he's going to be 11. I mean, I hope he stays like should live forever.
Nothing was better than, this must have been 6 or 7 years ago, that we were all in Israel by mom and dad's house, and mom made a Romanian salami glazed with that delicious glaze, like a sliced up salami in one of the in like a rectangular tinfoil thing, put it on the counter. And I just pulled it forward a little bit on the counter just to get him like a nice little look.
Because everybody knows when Milo's around, keep things away from the edge because he will get it.
Right. Even though, most dogs, you generally train them so you don't have to do all those things. But Milo, you gotta be trained around to Milo.
He's like, I always say he's like Swiper from Dora the Explorer. You have to like say it like Swiper, no swiping, like 3 times until he's finally like, oh man, and gives up, like literally, because he listened. Right. But he just rolled.
I pulled that salami forward. And I forgot to push it back 3 inches, and then it was gone. And so mom freaked out.
Gone.
Our
mother went crazy and was so mad at me.
She didn't go crazy. She was upset that you had. Oh, just activated Siri. Look at that.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, not literally crazy, obviously, but like she was so mad at me, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I literally went to take a shower. That's literally where I was. Right. I wasn't just kicking it back downstairs as my dog was like.
I didn't reveal it till a few years later that it was really me that was the one.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't push in your chair and Milo is within, a 30-foot radius of you and your chair is not pushed in, he will be on the table eating all of your goodies.
Yeah. He'll never go after my stuff because he knows I will kill him. He'll just go after everyone else's. Or he'll like try to cuddle up to you, and the second you don't look, bam, grab your stuff. He's out of there before you even blink.
Right.
Gone.
Right.
Bam.
But I feel like it's always worth it. We grew up with a dog, obviously, Bernie, who passed away.
May he rest in peace.
A year ago. Was it been a year yet?
Parents' backyard. Yeah.
That's crazy. We grew up with him for 10 years. But he was always
15 years.
He was always way more.
He was 15. I
lived with him for 10 years. I didn't live with him for his whole life.
Well, I didn't live with him. I lived with still our dog.
Right. I hadn't seen him.
It's like, are your siblings not your siblings, or you're not living with them at the time? It's like, oh, no,
I FaceTimed him. I FaceTimed him when he was in hospice, just to give him a quick, I'll see you later. Hospice being mom's bedroom, being administered, Advil or whatever it was to knock him out. I don't know, whatever they gave him.
They took him to the veterinarian. It wasn't in her bedroom.
No, obviously they took him to the bedroom. I'm saying at the end when he was passing on. When he was passing on.
When he was not a bad bedroom to be passing out in. I mean,
he was making his way out. Right, and he was making his way out.
It was
that's always the thing. I thought about that for so long. With like when he passes away, it's gonna be super sad for anyone that has a pet. I can't imagine. We don't have a pet, but like I can't imagine going through all that and then having to lose it, and then it's like people get so attached.
It's hard not to. When people are like, "Oh, I'm just,"
but it's worth it. Everyone says,
unless you're heartless. I mean, like people could die. Not that like they should die early, but it's like things that happen. But some reason,
the same
like,
as
I'm too scared that they're gonna die soon, so I shouldn't get them. Like it's not something that I want to think about or ever wonder about. And like it's scary, but I can't imagine my life without him at the same time. And like I love him like he's my own kid.
Right, but also I was speaking with Benji. Shout out Benji. Recently, he was like, we were talking about dogs, and he was saying how he's like, if you think about it, the dogs that we have are like royalty compared to every other animal. Other animals are like wild out there trying to survive.
Bernie Brucked lives better than any of us children. Mm-hmm. He was the favorite child. Like we always joked around, 100%. Like all the money and everything is going to him. Like we're not getting a dime. It's all to him. He's the favorite. He's been to way more places than I have.
The amount of times I've been called Bernie before being called Akiva is too many times. Too many times to still be funny and not be sad a little bit, Like it was funny at a certain point, but at a certain point it's like, Mom? Like, it's me, Keeves, Like I'm.
Do you remember
I'm
me?
still here. You know, let's grab some lunch. Let's catch up.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, well, I was always like answering the phone at our house, like whoever was calling the house. Oh, is this? And they would say like one of our sisters' names, and I'd be like, no. Oh, is this? Then they would say our other sister's name, and I'm like, no. They're like, then who is this? Because it had to be one of the girls in the house, and I'm like, it's me, it's Sheldon.
It's me, Sheldon.
I was like, oh, it's me. Hello.
Right. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that a song?
Good times. Hello, it's me. Adele. Hello from the other side. Are you joking?
I'm not like I'm just not like exposed to this music.
Akiva, this is not even this came out in like 2016. It was
if we had to like switch playlists for a week.
Like
if we had to switch playlists for a week and you listen to the type of music that I listen to, I don't know if you would last. No, yeah, I know. I just listen. We listen. I'm not into like. First, I was never into like mainstream music. I mean, When I grew up, I was
You're just so underground. Oh, you don't know it. It's just so underground.
No, I never listened. No, I just never listened to like mainstream pop. I never listened to like mainstream pop. I grew up listening to rap when I was a kid, like almost exclusively, and then some rock naturally.
Me too.
You know, but naturally. That came a little bit later.
Unnaturally, which would be pop.
I mean, no, naturally, because I feel like who doesn't appreciate some good rock and roll, some good old, you know,
and who doesn't appreciate some good pop? Touche.
Okay. Touche.
Thanks so much for all the love and support we've been getting. We didn't even like say anything about that.
Okay,
like, we've been getting so many people
before
didn't even like shocked. Like we were doing this for like fun and stuff like that, and I was just like, okay, like we didn't even have a logo or anything. And like I posted my social media, like, you know, for my friends and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, some people are listening, and I'm like, oh my god, like really to us, like,
right?
I mean, to me, I was like, I mean, it's random. But...
Yeah, I was nervous. I mean, we were both nervous. We were talking about this forever. But yeah, obviously the support has been great from friends and family and strangers, and obviously feedback is always welcomed and encouraged.
Yeah. If there's anything you want us to talk about, or if there's anything we're doing wrong, or if my microphone's too far close or anything like that, or if you don't like
mine was way too close.
But yeah,
we'll catch everyone next week. God willing.
Stay tuned
for the next episode. Stay tuned, and we'll catch everybody then.
Full throttle.
Catch you on the flip
side. Oh my god.